so Good Friday. Well, it is actually Good Friday today. I suppose we could call every Friday a Good Friday, because generally speaking Fridays are a good day. So let's just call it every Friday a Good Friday. Although, to be fair, if you're a weekend worker, I suppose it's not a Good Friday, but you know, and I've been there and done that. Anyway, I'm going slightly off piste here. Today I am going to be looking at the top 10 scariest drink driving PSAs. Some of which I may have seen before. We did, particularly sort of growing up in the 90s and in the 2000s, you would see a lot of, well, I would say a lot, but you would see quite a few personal information films here in the UK. We're not known for sort of pulling punches in that regard. Some were watered down, obviously, for the benefits of not traumatising children during the time when they would have been watching television pre-Watershed. Watershed, if you're not aware, is 9 o'clock, and I think it still exists. To my knowledge, it still technically exists, although with digital television and streaming now, it seems to sort of not really. It's kind of out of the window now. But basically, yeah, we're going to be looking at these drink driving PSAs. Some of them may be graphic, some of them may be traumatizing for anybody who's been through something like that in the past, so please be aware that that kind of content is being included in this video. So if you don't want to watch this video, for those reasons, I completely understand, but let's have a look and see how these have been rated, what sort of comments there are, and let's have a look. Yep. Mike and Joy. I don't want to know.
It's just a huge void and there's nothing to fill it. Nothing at all.
The driver had been drinking and just smashed his car into the back of Michelle's car, and she died of head injuries.
Oh, she was full of energy, full of enthusiasm. Even if I could just hold her hand for 5 minutes, or tell her again how much I love her, or just touch her hair, I would give the world for that.
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily look at that particular public information film and think it's scary, but it certainly drives the message home of the loss of someone who has gone through, you know, if somebody's lost somebody because of a drink driving accident. So it's a different thought on it, rather than showing the accident, or, you know, even from the perspective of the drink driver themselves. And I think it's actually really important to show. I wouldn't call it scary, but I completely agree that it should be in the compilation, because I think it just shows a different emotion towards it. So I think that was a good one to show.
My name's Mark Brandon Reid.
Chopper Reid.
Chopper. Years ago, I used to be a hitman. I know most of you out there may hate my guts. I'm not a very popular person, but you drink and you drive. You go on down the road, you kill a little kid, an old lady, an old person, some young mother pushing a pram across the road, and you go skittle, you wipe them all up. You still hate me? Yeah, you still hate me, but you're no different than I am. You're the same as me. You're a murderer and a maggot just the same as I am.
I mean, I think it was actually very, I don't want to use the word brave, but I think the fact that somebody who has such a notorious hitman in Australia would actually step forward and do that commercial, having admitted to all the things that he did. I mean, if I recall, he ended up writing a children's book as well. I could be wrong about that. And actually, when he died, if this is another fact that I saw again on the internet, which could also be wrong, but could very well be the case as well. He refused a liver transplant and wanted it to go to somebody that he felt deserved it better than he did. So the fact that he stepped forward to do that commercial, there was another one of his that I saw as well in a previous reaction, but it just goes to show that even amongst people who have done the things that he's done, somebody who has killed somebody through drink driving is kind of viewed differently by them as well. And I think it was actually quite hard hitting that he himself decided to do those series of commercials. He said himself he's not necessarily a popular person, particularly in Australia, but the fact of the matter is he showed exactly what he thought of drink drivers, and I think it's actually a good commercial to show. I've seen this one.
What are you drinking? Same again?
Yeah.
No, not for me.
What?
I'm driving.
We won't get pulled. Not on a Sunday.
Get me a half.
Half is what
Well, I
girls
don't.
drink.
What's the problem here?
I've got to get down my mum's for dinner.
Oh, his mum's for dinner.
Mummy's bought. Come on, Dave.
Just one more.
All right, then get me a pint.
Come on, Dave. Just one more.
A lot of
Here
you
he is,
people
Chopper.
will be very upset that I'm doing this commercial, but I'm advertising something I know a great deal about, and that's killing.
He does, he's not lying.
I've shot people, I've baseball batted them to death, I've iron barred them to death, I've stabbed them to death, I've set fire to them. If you get into a car and you've been drinking too much, you kill somebody, then you're no different than me. That's all it is. You're a murdering maggot.
Called me vulnerable, but there was a contrition in his eyes that I could see when he was listing all of the different methods that he'd used to kill somebody. And bearing in mind that he was sort of involved in criminal warfare, so those that he killed, although he should not have done that, were also involved in that. I don't recall him being convicted or tried for killing what gangsters would refer to as an innocent. With that being said as well, the second he started talking about if you drink and you drive, you could kind of see an anger in his eyes. So again, you could see how he feels about that. And so it's just a different sort of, it's a different version of the first one that we saw, but the message was essentially the same, but he just kind of added all the different things that he had done. And I think if I remember correctly, obviously he's sitting in his own home there. He actually admitted to all sorts of things in court, and wasn't convicted. And I'm not sure how that happened. But I mean, there's more to his story, as we might find out at some stage. I know, because you could see I don't know if you could see, but his ears have been cut off. So there's a lot to his story. There's a lot more to his story than we actually know about. But again, the fact that he was doing these commercials in the first place really sets a message of, I did this, and this, and this. But if you get into a car having drunk too much and you kill somebody, you are exactly the same as me. So don't look down on me because I've done this, this, and this. At least I can admit to having done this, this, and this. I've never done that. I think that's his message there. That's the message I got through. Oh, DOE are hard with these. Oh boy.
Guess I've got everything I need.
No one celebrates a goal like that, by the way.
And there's no one I'd rather be.
Shit.
Never ever drink and drive.
No.
But you live with the shame. From DOE.
The fuck? I know they don't hold back, but bloody hell. That... Jesus Christ. Ugh. I have seen this one.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3.
Is she gonna be alright? Look, make her be alright.
Calm down, sir.
You the driver of the vehicle, sir?
No pulse, no response. Patient's still in the
You've been drinking, sir?
Charging up.
Just a quick one.
Stand clear.
I thought I'd be okay.
Stand clear. Charging up. Stand
She's
clear.
gonna be alright. They're doing the best they can, sir.
Still no pulse. Still no response. Pupil's not reacting. Still nothing. The patient is now asystolic.
I didn't mean it.
And look, somebody who gets into the car having been drinking probably never does mean it. Because the thoughts never cross their mind. They always think, oh, I've had just a quick one. Nothing bad will happen because of that. Sorry, but it does. Also, that might be the best bit of acting that Denise Van Outen's ever done, but that's I really shouldn't have said that. Perhaps the seriousness. But one quick one is not... Your judgment is impaired after... You could have a half pint. And bearing in mind, I don't drink alcohol. I haven't had alcohol in... It'll be 7 years in May. And even when I did drink alcohol, I never drove after I'd had something to drink, ever. And I never would have done. Because I always knew, and I was one of those people that, you know, if I had sort of a tiny bit of alcohol, like maybe like what was it I used to drink? It was like schnapps and lemonade, which is not even a high percentage of alcohol in the drink. But even after that one drink, I could sort of feel myself being a bit kind of woozy and tipsy and all over the place. And so actually for me, it was, instantly I knew that if I then drove afterwards, no. It's the same like if I have to take medication at night, and some of those medications can make me drowsy. And so therefore, after that certain point, after I've taken those medications, I do not drive. It's that simple. I do not drive. It is not worth the risk. I've had 2 accidents. Neither of them my fault, but one of them has left me with a walking stick. So therefore, I would never, ever want to put that on somebody else, or worse. So it's just having that kind of moment of clarity in your own conscience of, like in that advert where you say, I didn't mean it. I'm sure you didn't mean it. I'm absolutely certain you wouldn't have meant it. You don't go out there to kill somebody. Of course you don't in that situation. But unfortunately, your judgment is impaired, and you need to understand that your judgment is impaired, even after a quick drink. So please just don't do it. I can feel myself getting angry and wound up now, but it's just something that I've, you know, even when celebrities have been sort of reported for what they call DUI in America, or for drink driving here in the UK. When I've seen that, I've thought to myself, you are a person who has X amount of followers, you might have X amount of fans on, any kind of social media channel, all of those things. That does not set a good example for the people that you follow, that follow you in the first place. So please consider what you do. This was the one I saw.
I got slashed in the face. My ears cut off. I had a claw hammer put from my brain just here. Cutthroat razors. Here. 8.5-inch butcher's knife there. Ice pick up the back there. If you drink and you drive and you're unfortunate enough to hit somebody, you want to pray to God you don't ever go to prison.
I agree with you, Mr. Reed. David.
Loneliness, emptiness, painful. Doesn't seem any way out. The younger two children don't understand why I'm in it. They keep saying, apologise and they let you come home. They don't quite realise what I've done. The old lady that I crashed into, she died. And her face comes back every time I sort of close my eyes. I find myself going back in the dream to try and say the things I wanted to say, but it never happens. I sort of wish I could have said
nothing you can say
in the hospital. There was just nothing I could have said, not to make it any better, because nothing would have made it better.
I can appreciate his honesty in that. And obviously, I mean, I don't know how old his younger children would have been at the making of the video. Obviously, that was pre-millennium. And they wouldn't have understood fully, perhaps, why he was in prison and what exactly he'd done. And an apology would never be enough. So yeah, I can it's a difficult one, because I can appreciate his honesty in that, and him saying that that's all he can see when he closes his eyes, and he wishes that he could have said something in the hospital, perhaps to try to make things better. But in that situation, when somebody's lost their life, there isn't anything you can say to make it better. And I think you can see in his face, I think he does feel guilt for what he's done. And he's clearly serving time for what he's done, as he has to, because, when you drink driving on its own carries a driving ban. Excuse me. Carries a driving ban. But causing death by dangerous or drink driving or automatically carries a prison sentence, and that's what he's serving at the moment there in that video. And of course that is what he deserves to serve, and I don't even think he would disagree with that comment, because once you've done something like that you have to, what is it that I heard somewhere, it's not if you do the crime, you're prepared to do the time, although that is one. But I heard one from Bobby Cummings actually said it was something you've got, if you do the deal, you've got to prepare the meal or something like that. It's interesting to see it from the other perspective of what's it like to kill somebody. And I think the graphic nature of that imagery that's used is probably why it's included in the Scariest, drink driving compilation, because that imagery is dark and it has to be. So yeah, I think that's quite an informative PIF. I can't call them commercials because I know that sometimes when Americans have reacted to different things about this from the UK, they've been referred to as commercials. They're not commercials. They are they are public information films. Completely different thing. They're not advertising anything in terms of, for commerce. And I think it's just that the approach to these things that we have here in the UK, certainly in Australia, I think in New Zealand as well. I have seen different ones in New Zealand where they've been quite hard hitting, and Canada as well. I've seen different ones that have been quite hard hitting and difficult to watch. But it is important that we watch them and take the message. Sometimes you have to. Oh no, I know this one.
How can she forget about it? She can't even sleep. She heard a kid at school say you were a murderer. I don't know what to tell her. How am I supposed to explain that you killed a little boy? I won't ever understand why you had to drive. Not everything's screwed up, isn't it? Well, isn't it? Look at me!
God, that's a hard one. Kids, man. Terry.
There was no intent. It was never meant to happen. But yes, I killed somebody. I was driving home in the morning when I thought I was okay, but obviously I wasn't. I've left a husband and children without the mother and wife, and I've got to live with that for the rest of my life. Very vivid nightmares, more realistic than anything I can actually remember. I'm just very sorry for my victims, the husband and the children and her family.
I think that's a good one as well, because he starts off with saying there was no intent. I didn't intend to go out and kill somebody, but I have killed somebody. And I think that was actually a really important way to start, because it was honest, and he does concentrate on the fact that not only about the person that he killed, but the family of the person that he killed, and describing the nightmares that he's suffering more of it being more vivid than what he actually remembers of it. That is often the case if you've gone through something traumatic. Sometimes that does happen. And so actually I felt that was an honest, certainly an honest way of saying it. Yeah, but it was difficult. They're difficult to watch, these things. They are hard to watch. There's no any way about it. You can't, there's nothing to prepare you for that when that sort of advert comes on. Again, that advert would have come on when I was about 11 years old. And I think the fact if you can target I think if you can target adverts towards people who are just about to take their driving lessons, so those who are sort of 16, 17, preparing to get their provisional license, preparing to take driving lessons, yes, those who are adults should know better. But I think if you can target those people and actually make them realise that this is something that you know, you really must not do, it carries a lot of consequences, then I actually think that's a good way to sort of look at it. But also the fact that he does mention in that particular video that this happened the morning after he'd been drinking, so he thought he was okay. So an important bit to remember is that you can go out drinking all night, and you can sort of, you know, crash at somebody's place, fall asleep on the sofa, whatever. The following morning when you wake up, you may still be over the limit. Alcohol takes quite a long time to leave your system, and I think that's often the case for a lot of people who do get pulled over for drink driving. They genuinely think they're okay to drive because they've slept it off. It doesn't work that way. Honourable mentions. I've seen this one. This is a tough one.
Is he coming up? Yes.
Yeah, that one always gets me every time. And that was a genuine case. I think that's a depiction of the case, but it's a genuine case. Jacqueline Saborido.
My name is Jacqueline Saborido. This is a picture of me before I was hit by
Beautiful
a drunk
girl.
driver. Before the car caught fire. Before 2 of my friends died. Before I needed more than 40 operations. This is me when my life was just like anyone else in college. This is me after being hit by a drunk driver.
Oh, is that Ken Stott?
Me and the new lad got the first one out the front seat. He'd never seen anything like it. Had to leave the body on the side of the road. I covered it with my tunic. Took what, 2 hours to get out on it? Pretty girl. Looked a bit like my sister. And then we found the baby. But no what bothers me. Bloke in their car kept saying it wasn't his fault, but he'd been drinking, hadn't he? I don't know how he'll ever live with himself.
John.
You don't go out
True.
and kill anybody. You never go out with the intentions and say to yourself, oh, today I'm going to run down a pedestrian. A few beers with the friends. Bang. Seeing the head come through the windscreen again. Vividly, like it's there today, now. And the fact that I am the cause of it, I can't take that back. But it doesn't change the fact I've become a killer.
That is...
But really, I should have cleaned up the grease over there, and they should never...
That is hard watching. As I expected that it would be. A lot of different messages in there. Interesting as well, not to just have the perspectives of people who have lost loved ones through drinking and driving, but also that one with the fireman's story where you're seeing them having to describe having to cut people out of the vehicle. and from those who've actually been sent to prison for drink driving, for death by drink driving as well, the different kind of imageries that they see every single time. So I think it is important to again, that message needs to come out. The one quick, it's this thought of this one quick drink and I'll be okay. No. And I think that message needs to go through more. And I think these kinds of public information films, I think these need to be restarted again and broadcast on mainstream television. I know we watch a lot of things like on Netflix, Prime, Disney Plus, all of those things where you wouldn't necessarily see it. But I do think, you know, as particularly on sort of, you know, your ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5, etc., this, you know, people do still obviously watch those shows. You've got streaming on those platforms as well. So to me, those things should still be broadcast on those. That message still needs to come through. A lot of these films, especially the ones from the UK, came out 25 years ago. And that nothing's changed. People still drink and drive. People still kill people by drinking and driving. And I just think that, you know, that media organisations really need to look at how can we start to put this message through again. So that's my take on it anyway. But if you disagree with me, or if you do have any comments, please put them in the comments and press the subscribe button, and I'll be putting in some more reactions to all sorts of random different things. But yeah, this was a somber one and a difficult one. So thank you very much.